Hi everybody, Josiah here, also known as Chilling Silence, and I am so excited to talk to you today about what is on screen right here, a new development era for DigiByte. So this is so important that I'm just doing today's DigiByte update on this and this alone. So this is kind of why I've been a little bit more quiet lately and haven't been doing as many videos and things, is because we've been busy specifically working on this, confirming how it's all gonna work, making sure we're gonna have the people behind it. And I think the really good news here about this is that yes, every single person that we've spoken to, they're all on board with this. This is, as far as more, it's actually unanimous. We're all in agreement that this is for the best. So this is really quite cool. Now, what is it I'm specifically talking about here? We're changing how development is done. Now, previously, where are we down here? If we come down here, so long story short, what we're doing is the Atlassian Gitflow workflow method, which I've previously talked about. Specifics there are not entirely relevant, but in summary, in the past, a number of people could make changes, for example, to the README, keeping it updated, etc. Now, this was really cool because we didn't have to have a whole lot of overhead from administration and that kind of thing, so as I mentioned there, it was very low touch. The users contributing to GitHub are basically trusted to do the right thing. Now, as a result, there was less accountability, less reviewing of changes and things that went into DigiByte, and we've gone back and we can't see any kind of obvious abuse about this. However, this is where the accountability comes into play. Because, yeah, sure, just because it hasn't happened in the past doesn't mean that in the future, like, I might not go crazy or something and try and do something really stupid. So this puts in place those checks and those balances to basically prevent anything like that from ever happening. So nobody can commit code directly to DigiByte. You must make a pull request. So what we can do is we'll bring this up, and this is DigiByte, so we'll go pull requests. Let's go back and we're gonna have a quick look at some of these. And let's check this, validation blocks. So 3 days ago, Smart Array, which is Yoshi, made this pull request, and he included a bunch of code here. So this commit fixes some stuff, and this is what's included. Long story short, gets an untested acknowledgement, it gets a tested acknowledgement, and then because we've had 2 independent people review it, so Yoshi can't go and review his own stuff because that would obviously defeat the purpose, right? Because we've had 2 independent people come along and review it, now we're at this point where we can go, sure, this is probably good, let's go and we'll include it in the next version of DigiByte, or at least specifically we'll merge it into our develop branch. So that's what we have happen down here. GTO90 merged the commit. So that's pretty cool. Now, why is this so important? Well, actually, you know what? Let's do something that I never actually ever really do, but I think this is kind of important here. I'm going to bring up CoinGecko, and let's have a look. So the DigiByte market cap at the moment is $1.2 billion. Now, the reason that this is important is because these changes that we're making here with the Atlassian Gitflow workflow method are what's going to take us into the future and ensure that we are, as developers, being good stewards of that code base. This is the only time that you're going to see me bringing up CoinGecko. But you understand what I mean, right? Like, so this is... Things are a lot more serious than they have been in the past. There is a lot more at stake here with this because of the value of DigiByte. So in order to minimize any kind of issues or bugs or oversights or even accidents, outright accidents, this will help pick that kind of thing up and stop that sort of thing from happening. Basically, it means that in order for your stuff to be reviewed, the pull requests need to be atomic, they need to be well documented, people need to specifically test them out before it is implemented. So this is going to be really cool. Now, again, this basically means that this is why things have slowed up a little bit. We've been going back and doing all of these tests and things. So if we go back here, we can see tests. We're fixing up the unit tests. After this, we're looking at doing continuous integration so that we know for sure that we have whatever somebody puts as a pull request before it's even reviewed by somebody else. Does it compile? Does it build? just in case there happens to have been some kind of an issue that's cropped up that the original person submitting it wasn't aware of. This will save time for the people who are doing the reviews, kind of like a first line of defense, if you will. So we're going to have continuous integration set up that's coming after we've finished all of these unit tests. Then we're going to get into like the real like meat and potatoes of the meal, if you will. We're going to get into the real core of it and look at doing things, like I mentioned in the past, upgrading DigiByte core to be based off of a newer version of Bitcoin, looking at performance enhancements and feature improvements and potential algorithm swaps, and a whole bunch of that. Like, this is where Schnorr signatures is basically going to come into. And this is why I've mentioned that it's worth people coming along here and clicking on the watch button. So I get notified of all activity. You can click on custom here and choose maybe you only want to get notified of new pull requests and discussions, because maybe you don't care about some kind of like an issue or a fault that somebody's found with it. So something to keep in mind, it's worth coming up here, clicking on watch, staying notified, because what we're going to have is we're going to have these discussions showing up here. Now, at the moment, a lot of these are basically just around unit tests. It's going to be boring. You're probably not going to want to participate in this because we're fixing the unit tests. This is just good. There's no discussion around it, really. It's just good. But in the future, that's going to change, and we're going to be talking about things like, do we pull in 0.20 or 0.21 from Bitcoin? When we're doing algorithm swaps, do we want this algorithm or do we want this one instead? Do we want to swap out this one? Do we want to swap out this one? That kind of thing. So this is why it's going to be really important that you, as somebody who is involved with DigiByte, are following us on GitHub. So I'll include links down below. This is digibyte-core/DigiByte on GitHub. So anyway, I think that kind of sums it up. This is where we're headed. This is why it's super important. Now, I'm so excited because this is a level of professionalism that goes above and beyond. This is, like, if we look at some of the other projects and things like that, in fact, this, as far as I'm aware, this goes even above and beyond Bitcoin. And I know that if we look at other projects that kind of fall into the altcoin basket as well, I'm not actually aware of any that are going to be holding themselves to such high standards. So that's pretty cool as well. And this is obviously going to matter a lot more as we go into the future, like I mentioned, with a lot more people, a lot bigger eyes, a lot bigger exchanges, a lot bigger companies looking to build on top of DigiByte and that kind of thing. They need to have that sort of certainty. So again, what I'll do is I'll include a link specifically to this down below. I'd encourage you to read through it. I go into it a little bit more. I give some nice summaries about how it works and that sort of thing. And it's not super in-depth technical. So even if you're not a techie person, I would encourage you to go along and check it out. Anyway, that's going to be all from me for today. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you're as excited as I am about this real, genuine next step for DigiByte in terms of development. Hit me up in the comment section down below. I like to hang out down there. You can ask me any questions. Otherwise, I'm on Twitter at DGB_chilling. I'll talk to you in the next video, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.